Chad Hurley could be one of the few Silicon Valley superstars that you don't recognize, but in the relatively short history of the internet, he's a legend. Hurley co-founded YouTube, one of the most popular and successful websites ever.
All right.
Fans couldn't resist a chance to get up close and personal with the guy who turned video sharing into a global phenomenon at a recent technology trade show in Toronto. A rare opportunity to rub shoulders with the internet entrepreneur who turned an idea into a billion-dollar business, all before his 30th birthday. Hurley's rise to the top started at PayPal in 2005, his first job after studying computer science and design at university. Co-workers Stephen Chen and Jawed Karim found they were frustrated trying to share videos they shot with their phones. In their spare time, they started writing code. Soon, they were broadcasting themselves in the first YouTube video ever. It was an inauspicious start. 19 seconds of descriptions of elephants at the San Diego Zoo.
They have really long fronts.
Still, the site took off. Mini movies starring family pets poured in. Stunts, some successful and some not, streamed to the site. Users couldn't get enough. YouTube struggled to keep up. It needed money to expand. Google saw the opportunity, and in 2006, only a year and a half after its launch, Hurley sold YouTube to Google for a very cool $1.65 billion. 10 years later, YouTube remains relevant, an essential site capable of creating its own stars.
Oppan Gangnam Style.
And 1 billion YouTube users, posting more than 300 hours worth of video every minute of every day, keep coming back for more. When we spoke recently, I wanted to know what it was about the idea of video sharing that appealed to Chad Hurley.
You know, for myself, it was really just a combination of me and my friends getting together, talking about what we could create. Really, what project could we work on? After previously having a chance to work together at PayPal. It's kind of exploration of ideas, and video came about as being one of those ideas where we thought it would be interesting to pursue. You know, almost a technical challenge, but then also realizing that personally we had a need for the service, that we had videos sitting on our desktops that were just not easily shareable.
How big were the technical issues that you had to overcome?
I mean, there were quite a few. I mean, just because the file sizes and the amount of video formats, or codecs, as they're called, there were quite a few, and just the technical challenges of dealing with these different formats of videos and having to re-encode them. Ultimately, what we found into Flash video, which recently, just within the last year, Flash had introduced video support. So it's a piece of software that people can embed into their web pages that would support basically animation. But it was really within the last year or so they had introduced video. No one had done too much with it, but we found it as a really seamless way to allow people to view a video without having to worry about the media player that they were using.
So it was from the beginning, I guess, something you knew worked because it worked for you. But was there a kind of a critical mass moment where you sort of thought, this is actually a really big thing? We've actually kind of created the Model T, as it were?
We never thought of it like that, but I think when we received around 1 million views a day, that's how we would track our successes. How many videos did we serve on a daily basis? And we were able to crack 1 million, and at that point we thought we were onto something big. We didn't really know quite how big or how large it would become. We initially were probably tracking or plotting our growth to be about 30 million views a day. We thought if we would hit that, that would be kind of the saturation point of YouTube at the time. But we were able to well surpass that.
Did it ever bother you or intrigue you that a lot of what was being shared was fairly frivolous stuff, cat videos being the best example?
Yeah, but everyone loves cat videos. So no, we were just viewing this content as stuff that we would take with our own cameras. So looking at these videos that we were sharing with our friends and things that we were doing on a daily basis, I mean, to the majority of the people out there, they weren't that interesting. But I think because it was personal to your family and friends, it was interesting. So you had these people sharing these clips with one another, and it meant something to them.
I've expressed this idea that the kind of user experience always sort of drove what you were doing. I think that was probably also true at PayPal. Can you just describe how you keep that front of mind? Because it's one of those things that everybody says, but it's actually kind of a hard thing to do, to actually keep how the end user is going to use this thing in the central place.
Yeah, well, that's just part of the design process, is really thinking about how you're going to use the product and just walking through the steps that make sense to you in your head. That's the initial creation process, but then on a daily basis, you're just trying to figure out what isn't quite right. And that's a combination of you using the product, but also just listening to feedback and seeing how other people are interacting with the product. But I think that's the biggest piece. You just need a team that stays close to what they're developing. Maybe it becomes harder with larger companies because as the team grows, they're not as close to what they're actually creating. But at least in the early days, it's a lot easier to stay close to what you're creating. It's
amazing to think how quickly it became so successful that you sold it for what at the time probably seemed like an enormous sum. Was that the right time to sell YouTube?
Yeah, I think so. We literally didn't really have any other options. And I feel there's a pretty good chance that YouTube might not even be here today if it wasn't for Google's support, let alone at this size. We just needed a lot of resources. We only had 67 people within the company. We had only raised a few $1 million. I mean, and we could have raised a lot more, but in terms of what we were dealing with, being so threatening to almost every industry, you have the traditional internet guys who were seeing our growth as something as threatening. Then you also had traditional media guys that were basically threatening us with lawsuits based on of copyright concerns, even though we were doing the right things and continued to do the right things. They were more or less, I think, afraid of losing control, because for the first time what YouTube represented was, what the internet always represented was worldwide distribution, but what YouTube had was a meaningful global audience, which had never been aggregated in that way before. So for us, we didn't really have any other chance or choice but to be acquired by a bigger company that would provide us the resources and also the protection to continue to grow, to not see this opportunity disappear for millions of users around the world.
It's changed since then, and as you say, in obviously good ways, with that backing, with investment, with protection. Has it changed in ways you're less happy about as it grew up?
I still think there's a big opportunity within the world of discovery to organize or make sense of the amount of content that's there. There's already an enormous amount of video on YouTube, but there continues to be many more hours added every single day. So to keep up with that is quite chaotic. So to somehow create a discovery experience that's more tailored to the individual is one thing I'd love to see happen. But also I think that because at the end of the day, advertising is the key to make the business work, is that you start to have to operate within more traditional models. Have to think about content in different ways and start licensing or helping produce content. At the end of the day, I was always about trying to democratize the video experience, and that still exists. Everyone can still participate within the YouTube ecosystem, but I think it's just a little bit more challenging today with the state of kind of the business models.
Chad Hurley's latest enterprise aims to help people make better videos that can play on his other creation, YouTube. And yet, while Hurley has spent most of his working life helping people broadcast their lives, he prefers his privacy. YouTube helps people share videos. Chad Hurley's latest venture helps people create them. Mixbit turns raw video and photographs into polished, finished pieces, making editing easy for everyone. A mix of art and technology that takes advantage of Hurley's background in design and computers. Still in the early stages, Hurley sees huge potential.
Oh, you want a selfie? Yeah.
Considering he helped create one of the internet's biggest success stories, no one is underestimating him. In the second part of our conversation, I wanted to know more about what excites him about Mixbit.
I've always wanted to focus on is giving people better tools. So this is for people, personal tools to create better content on their own. And Mixbit represents a way that we automate the editing process. That there's a lot of photos and videos that people now have on their phones that they do nothing with. That trying to make sense of this content that people take on a daily basis is a big challenge, and that's what we're trying to focus on with Mixbit is take these photos, take these videos, apply a theme, and you could also do that collaboratively. So share experiences that you share with family and friends, invite them into a project that allows them to also contribute photos and videos, and then our engine from that will create a video that's worth keeping, a memory that's worth watching again with all the content that's being taken these days.
Going to being part of that sort of creating and organizing of all this information, is that something that also draws you, is being part of the solution to organizing?
Yeah, it's. I wouldn't look at it as organizing. I'd look at it as almost creation. People have the content, but people haven't created a compelling video or experience from all of that content. So this idea that some people don't even know how to use iMovie, but even if they do, they probably don't have the time. So I believe in this more automated creation process is going to be a bigger key to video in the future, especially personal video. So that's why I'm really excited about Mixbit.
You don't like the Model T comparison, but in retrospect, you and your partners created one of the pillars that changed the game of how people share information. Do you ever kind of take a step back and think, holy cow, that's what we did?
I mean, from time to time, I think I think about it more when I pick up the newspaper and see how YouTube has affected someone's life. If it's politically or if it's professionally, someone being discovered, be it talent, and just the fact that it's kind of referenced. I guess how we've always defined success for YouTube, at least early on, was that how do we become part of popular culture? And I think that in a weird way we were able to do that. But that, I guess, I don't sit back and reflect on a daily basis, and I just kind of think about what do I have to do tomorrow for the next challenge or next idea that I'm working on, and hopefully that's kept me a little more grounded.
Is there something coming that's going to be as game-changing as YouTube was?
I think the stuff that people are doing with, I guess, virtual reality, I like, in a sense, what people are doing with augmented reality, the kind of the mixture of the two, and not just passively like a layer of information that you can view, but actually things that you can interact with. I think that's going to be game-changing, especially if it comes packaged in a way that's pretty seamless and not that bulky, that people can actually wear it.
You were an example of the way that kind of math and science merges with design, and you talked about kind of the element of design, the process. Do you think it's more central now than it once was in terms of creating things that end users respond to actually have that design kind of mind?
Yeah, well, I just look at it as creating. It's almost. I look at it as almost being an artist, and I think anyone has that within them. People would always talk about engineers being the ones that needed to create within the internet world, but I think at the end of the day, it's thinking through problems and it's coming up with solutions. And you have to know how these pieces of technology can fit together and work for you, but at the end of the day, there's so much technology, and I think there's so many solutions available that if you have the right team, you can build pretty much anything. It's the idea that's the tough part. So, I think that maybe all these pieces are coming together in terms of how people are thinking, but at the end of the day, the ideas win.
There are lots of negative things about some of these disruptive changes. YouTube will ultimately put a lot of us out of work. Are you a technology optimist? Do you tend to think that ultimately it's making everything better?
Yeah, I believe so. you know, with any innovation, there's potentially optimizations that make some jobs obsolete. But I think that at the end of the day, it's providing more opportunity than, I guess, disruption. That the fact that now more people around the world have a chance to share their voice or share their talents is a good thing, and for even more people to have a chance to view that content and be inspired or learn from it is a good thing. The models, the business models will change, but I think that at the end of the day, technology is going to help and improve all of our lives.
Has it improved yours?
I think so. Yeah. It's given me, chances to do things I never could have imagined that I could have done growing up, and now have a chance to continue to think about new things I want to work on. Kind of provides that luxury to really just continue to think, not have to worry about the daily grind, and I think sometimes that's what people get caught up with when you're talking about just people, their jobs, and the fact that maybe they don't think they have a chance to innovate, but it's taking that chance, just going for it. And I think I'm just been really blessed and fortunate to be in the right position to now have that chance to continue to do that.
Okay, we'll leave it there. We appreciate your time.
Thanks.